Hello, this is a Model 10 Bechstein upright piano made in 1910, 130 centimetres tall. The Model 10 has 85 keys and not 88 keys, along with the old Model 5 which preceded it before 1902. And just looking at this piano, it's just come into stock, and the colour of the piano, looking and compare it with the one next to it, which is another Model 10, which we've had in before. It's been rented out, we've worked on it, and there's a comparison of the fact that we've worked on it and what difference that makes too. So two Model 10s, and you see the colour of them. This one is more kind of like original rosewood colour. I think that's probably the original rosewood there. This one is a faded rosewood colour, and there's a yellower colour. We've talked about this recently, that if you have a piano repolished, it'll end up like that if it's rosewood. That's what happens when it's what we call faded rosewood, and you can see that's actually been repolished completely, including the inside there, so that's not the original colour either. So that's an important factor to notice. Both of these pianos are high quality, and I've been playing both of them. I think apart from the fact that this one has a touch problem because we haven't worked on it yet, they're very similar quality-wise and like them both. These are ivory keys. You can see that they're a bit yellowed, and someone's had a go at working on that one. We're thinking of doing the same actually with the others round it first of all, just to check and make sure we can get that, because they're a bit on the yellow side otherwise. So we'll try and match up that with the other keys. That's one of the things we need to do. And the sides of the keys, I think we just colour those in a little bit. So obviously just cosmetic, but we're looking at the cosmetics first. Now we'll look at the insides in a minute. And this one here, it has ivory keys too, but they're really perfect in terms of colour. So I think they might need to just slightly buff these, as it's been used a bit since it's been out. My colleague, our polisher and my friend for over 40 years actually, has gone over the casework and has, I think it's exceptionally good. He has disguised some of so I can't even see what he's had to disguise, but it's obviously improved slightly since he's been working on it. This music stand always folds inside like that, so you can then have the piano. You can see where the music stand's been, obviously, and the top of it looks pretty perfect. So as to which one you choose, whether you choose this one or that one, it might be partly to do with coloration of the piano rather than anything else, because as I say, they're both similar quality and they're both been restored very well. Now, as I said, they've both been restored very well. This has had, both of them had a lot of work done on them to perfect them. So just a quick look at the hammers. There's plenty of felt on these. The tuning pins are tight. They've been restrung. You can see the new strings, and these are new bass strings, and they sound beautiful. Now, I wouldn't point out that on both of them, these are straight strung pianos. Bechstein made a Model 9 and a Model 10 at the same time. There's quite a lot of both of the pianos in the UK. I prefer the Model 9, as I mentioned before. The Model 10 is overstrung. Sorry, I beg your pardon, I prefer the Model 10. This is this one. The Model 9 is overstrung. That means the tenor area, the strings aren't quite as long as the Model 10. We've contrasted them before. Obviously the bass strings here are longer on the Model 9, so it's a bit of a better bass, but the bottom octave only. From here, these strings are longer, and also you get better damping. So I've mentioned that many times before on the contrasting those two models. There's such a sweet sound. As sweet as you get, and you expect a Bechstein 10 to have what I call a sweet tone. When you see the talc here, this is white. It's talc, and it's lubricating the centre rail, which you and also then the pin also. It's got a bit on the tight side, even though it's been lubricated. So I think it's got slightly been standing around doing nothing for a while, and not been played a lot. It's obviously been tuned because it's at concert pitch, but not played a lot. And so you'd think we don't need to lubricate here, but I think we do actually, even though. And it's also the weighting of the keys is quite heavy compared to the other one. It's generally regulated very well. I think the dampers could pull off a little bit further. I'd like them to really clear the strings here, so a bit about to there would be better. But they're regulated very well to the keys. If we look at this is pressing B and C together, the dampers are both lifting off together and just past halfway, which is ideal really. So that one, those two as well. Just check them all as well. I'll see if they're the bass are the same. Let's see. No, they're all pulling off just over halfway, which is 2/3 of the way, which we mentioned before is a good regulation. One of the other things I notice is that the jacks here are not all coming back as they should do. The spring should be as weak as possible, but it's still, well, what I mean, we don't want it too strong because it affects the touch too much. So reason, but falling back properly underneath the hammer butt there. So that's not quite going quickly enough. So I think we need to lubricate here. And there was one of them, I think it's this A sharp here. Is definitely, I don't know if you can see it, but it's just not pulling back. It's not pulling back very fast at all, and consequently, it doesn't repeat properly. So that's obviously, again, I think it's probably maybe absorbed a bit of moisture, and we'll obviously have to lubricate that and then check them all through. Normally, we don't have to tighten the springs. As I say, if they're too tight, then it affects the touch too much. So looking at the assessment sheet here, most of the aspects were extremely well restored, and we didn't talk about pedal height, but there's a reasonable amount of legroom. For a very tall person, you might want a piano with more legroom. We've mentioned that before. This is normal legroom, same as a Yamaha U3. And some notes weren't repeating too well because of the fact that it's not been played for a long time, I suspect. Although it seems to have been tuned regularly, it's at concert pitch. We can improve the keys and buff. And I'd like to increase the key dip a bit. I'm finding they don't quite go down as far as I'd like them to go down. They're around about 10 millimeters, and that's an 11 millimeter key dip. I'd like to see them 10.5 or 11. Feel better on the touch. And last of all, the weighting, 65 grams is a bit on the heavy side, so 60 grams. The other one is set more like a 50 gram average, which is what we're looking for, 52 grams. And so we're going to have to bring that down, probably by lubrication. We'll just see if we're still a bit on the heavy side after that and have to deal with that. So let's have a listen to the tone compared to other pianos. So here's the 1907 one. And just to compare something in the same price range, this is the tall Fouric 133, and one of our preferred modern makes of piano, new piano. Of course, there's a much richer bass with this very tall piano and overstrung, so that's a major contrast with this modern one. But in terms of studying on it, the touch of the other ones we're going to get as refined as this one. This is a very refined touch, and so you'll be able to study on the Bechsteins as well as you can on the Fouric. So that's a Bechstein Model 10 made in 1910. It's one of the commoner Bechstein models, and one of our favourites really. Has a very sweet tone to it, and when the action's regulated well, it plays so fluently. Of course, the bass, being a straight strung piano, is not powerful, so if you want to use the bottom bass, you tend to use it in octaves anyway. It sounds fine, and it's constructed that way partly because of the style of the piano, that Bechstein wanted this style, and it's very popular, and also because the tenor area is actually longer strings than the Model 9, which is slightly shorter, has diagonal strings, but these strings are longer. I've done a video to show that because it's quite interesting to see, and I actually prefer the Model 10 to the Model 9, although Model 9 can be very good as well. tenor area is beautiful. And it's a delightful piano to play, although the action at the moment isn't responding as well as I hope it would do. So it might, in terms of whether you choose this one or that one, if you're interested in the Model 10 or that style, it's a lot to do with colour, because the colour of that's what we call faded rosewood, and the colour of this is when it's repolished. I've just recently mentioned that on a video because someone's thinking about a Model 8 as to whether they want that repolished, and it will change the colour of the piano. Natural rosewood is a much redder brown, and the other one is a yellower brown, if that makes sense. So thank you very much for listening. If you're interested in the piano, please do write to us, info@robertspianos.com, and let us know what you'd like to do.